Hello everyone. I hope you all are doing good and fine and all the healthy and safe at your home. Well, I'm Mrs. Titima Bashistha and I'm your social science teacher, and today we will be taking up the civics part from your social science book. So the chapter that we are going to deal with today is what is constitution or Indian constitution or revelation. So before starting the class, I would like to introduce you to what topics that we are going to look in today's class. First of all, we are going to start with the meaning of constitution. What is a constitution? Then we are going to understand the importance or the why do we need to have a constitution. Then we will be looking into a case study or about a dowry system that we have in India, or rather we had, or we can say we still have in some places of India. Then we will be looking into what is rule of law and followed by the legitimacy of law. From today's class, you will be, by the end of the class, you will be gaining new knowledges, new information. Like after this class, when you go back home, you will be able to define what is constitution. You will also be able to acquire knowledge about why do we need a constitution. Then you will also be able to understand more about the dowry system and the act which prohibits the dowry system. You will also be able to understand what is rule of law and the legitimacy of law. So I would like to take you to the chapter now. Okay. So as I said, these are the topics that we will be doing today. So the chapter starts in this way. A law is a rule that states how many people may and may not behave in society. Such rules are essential for smooth functioning of a country. Now we all know what laws are, right? Laws are means what? These are the regulating guidelines, how a person should behave, what a person should do, and what he or she should not do, the do's and don'ts. All right, that is called as that we know as a law. And why do we need laws? Because only when laws are there, then only there will be a smooth functioning of the society. Without law, there will be all, tyranny. People can do anything, anything they want to do. All right, there will be nobody to control. All right, so that is why we need some rules and regulations. So those are known as laws. So similarly, when we come to school, when we sit inside the class, everyone has to follow certain rules and regulations. Why do we do so? By doing so, we are contributing towards the smooth functioning of the school. All right, or we also have some etiquettes that we need to follow when we are inside a classroom. So that is why we all need to follow certain rules and regulations, or that is why we have certain rules. And all the basic rules in terms of a country, now coming back in terms of country, these basic rules, where do we find? We find it in our constitution. All the rules are laid down in our constitution. Now let's see what is the constitution. A constitution is the most important document which contains the fundamental laws of a nation. So all the laws that a country has, everything is written down or laid down in this important document which is known as our constitution. And the constitution provides a framework for an effective and better governance. And this is with the help of this constitution, the smooth and effective governance of a nation is possible. Without a constitution, how a government will exist, right? They will need certain rules and regulations to follow. So this the constitution provides a backbone. It is a support system for the governance for the smooth functioning of a country. Now let's see, why do we need a constitution? As I said, constitution always it is a rules and regulation. Without constitution or without the laws, there will be chaos everywhere. There will be disorder in the society. So constitution serves several purposes. The first is it lays down the ideals of people of the country, which tells us the basic nature of society. So these ideas, these laws are basically what? These are ideals of the people, or what people want. All right, the laws are made keeping in mind about the the nature of the people or of a nation. All right, so the constitution lays down what? The basic ideals of the citizens of a country, all right? And by looking at the laws, one can understand what is the nature of the society, all right? What kind of country that is, what kind of people lives in that country, all right, by looking at the laws. A country comprises of different castes and communities who have their own set of beliefs and traditions. The rules and regulations in the constitutions are such that agreed by all individuals. So let's take for our India itself. So we know India is a multi-religious country, multilingual country. We have people from different varied backgrounds, right? So while making the laws, the lawmakers always kept in mind that the laws does not affect the sentiments of any particular community or particular religion. So the laws has to be framed in such a way that it is acceptable commonly by all the people in general. The constitution also reflects the ideals that the citizens of the country believe they should hold. So as I said, the constitution, it tells about the ideals that the citizens of the country, they believe they should hold. It talks about the ideas of the people, basically. This is reflected in its form of government. Let us take the example of Nepal. As it is written there here, Nepal was earlier a monarchical government, all right? But and the king was the head until 1990. But what happened after 1990? People started a movement to establish a democracy. Now, earlier it was a constitutional monarchy. King used to rule till 1990. And after 1990, people started to protest and they started to demand democracy. And they were finally granted democracy in 2006. The people of the Nepal, then they had their own constitution after they were given democracy. They were declared a democratic country. They wrote their own constitution. And this constitution, it upholds, or it contains the ideals of the people of Nepal, what they want from a country, all right? All these ideals or the principles of the citizens of the country are written down in the form of laws in the constitution. Now let us take a very simple example is given here. We all know if in a class somebody bullies you or somebody laughs at you, we have been bullied at some point of time by some younger sibling, parents. We are getting scoldings. But when people always remember, when people have power, they sometimes tend to misuse it, right? Always when power is given to you, you understand that, all right, I am powerful, I can do anything I want, right? So there has to be something to govern the functioning of that person, all right? So it is the constitution that prevents any person with power from misusing their power, right? So yeah, if somebody bullies you in the school, you don't have to know, we don't have to be scared about it, or we don't have to be sad. We always have an authority, higher authority, to whom you can go and complain, right? So that is every institution or every organization will have their own rules and regulations. Or anybody, if someone is given with a power, they cannot misuse their power. To put a check on their functioning, there will always be someone higher authority to see if somebody is misusing their power or what. And in terms of India, or functioning of the governance of the nation, it is always the constitution which will take care of it. Then you may heard of a large mob mistreating some people. They disapprove of, or a group of boys teasing a girl. Sometimes majority groups enforce their decisions on the minority group. We always see, right, if had there been no constitution, people will be start to dominate everyone. Every minority group will be dominated by the majority group, right? Or like we see boys teasing a girl. So had there been no rules and regulations, or had there been no laws, people will not be afraid of, right? They can do whatever they want. Even now, even after the existence of laws, we see so much of crimes taking place. Just imagine, had there been no laws at all, what would be the rate of crimes that would have taken place in our country? So that is why the constitution plays a role here, where it always serves as a backbone to the functioning of a nation. So taking care of all this, of any kind of unwanted situation, and punishing the guilty is also provided for in the constitution. Everything is written there, what punishment is to be given for which crime, all right? The constitution also makes provisions that dominant group does not ill treat a smaller group. And the constitution always takes care that the less advantaged people of the society should be always more attention is given towards them, so that the more advantageous people, they do not take so that they do not exploit the lesser advantaged people of the society. Now let's look about a case study here about dowry. So we know what is dowry, right? Dowry is what? So we know what is dowry, right? Dowry is any kind of, it is during a marriage, you see a bride brings with her a lot of things, So dowry is the amount of money or any kind of gifts or presents or goods, that property that a bride's family gives to her when to carry along with her to the groom's family at the time of marriage. So what is dowry? Dowry can be defined as an amount of money, goods or property that the bride's family gives to the groom at the time of marriage, right? So the practice of giving and accepting dowry existed in India for centuries. We all know that dowry system existed in India, and I think it still is existing. It is still there in many parts of the country. And as a result, we still get to hear about, because of dowry, a daughter-in-law was burned, she was being beaten up. So all these cases are still prevalent in many parts of the country. We need, I think, even though India has framed laws for prohibition of dowry, I think the system has not existed to abolished totally from the country, because this law during that time resulted in several cases of deaths and domestic violence. I think still we have that. And after independence, the government of India has passed the Dowry Prohibition Act in 1961. So in 1961, the government of India has passed this Dowry Prohibition Act to abolish or to prohibit dowry, where under this act, any person who will be demanding dowry or giving dowry or taking dowry, that will be punishable. All right. But still we see that even though laws are passed, it is still been practiced. People still give dowry. People still demands dowry from the bride's family. I think we can, so certain changes we need to change at our home itself. Laws cannot change that. Even if we see somebody is practicing such things, we need to stop at our own household level. Then next come to what is rule of law. The makers of Constitution had always dreamt about rule of law must prevail to help India occupy a credible position as a democratic country. All right. When the makers of the Constitution, those who were making the Constitution, they always dreamt about a rule of law, what that should be prevail. Rule of law means that no one is above law. All right. Law is the superior to everyone, no matter to what position a person is, how powerful a person is. The same law which will be applied to a lower category person or the socially disadvantaged person, the same law will be applied to a socially advantaged person or the rich people, no matter who the person is. So the rule of law states that no one is above law and the person can be penalized for the breaking of law. All right. So if anybody, no matter who the person is, if he or she breaks the law, that person will be punishable for breaking the law. Like law is superior above all, like superior from everyone. It demands that people holding power and occupying positions in different organs should be guided by law. So it is always why rule of law should be there, so that if there are people who holds higher ranks are all right, so they can be their functioning should always be guided by law. They should not be like, no, I am in the topmost position, I can do anything. All right. So there should be always rule of law where every person should think that I am not the most powerful person. Above me is law, and I cannot do anything that I want to do. They should not be permitted to act in unlawful or arbitrary manner. Hence, the Constitution makers chose to guarantee certain rights to citizens and expected them to discharge certain responsibilities. So that is why the Constitution of India, it guarantees it guarantees us many rights. Every citizen, we have our own rights, right? And that is given to us by a Constitution, and those rights cannot be taken away from us at any cost. And also, but the rule of law states that only if that it does not allow anyone to act in an unlawful manner. All right. In this constitutional structure, it is the parliament or the legislature that makes laws. I think we know, right? Our structure is so that it is divided into three organs: the judiciary, the executive, and the legislature. The legislature is the parliament who will make the laws, right? Then the executive is the one who will execute the law or will enforce the law, and the judiciary who interprets the law, that is the courts, High Court and the Supreme Court. Then let's come to the legitimacy of law. Legitimacy means how much legal or how consistent a law is. In India, we know that it is the constitution that is supreme. We got to know there is that whatever, no matter what who a person is, a law is always supreme. Now, if the law is inconsistent with regard to its conformity with the constitution, then the high courts and supreme courts of India have the power to declare a law as unconstitutional. Now, if it is seen that a law is passed, but that law somehow hampers the sentiment of a community, or it is not, benefiting all the people of the nation as a whole, then the Supreme Court and the High Court has the right to declare that law as unconstitutional. All right, and this process is known as judicial review. So judicial review means any law which is passed cannot be like it automatically is not accepted by the people. First, it will go under judicial review. Like if the Supreme Court or the High Court feels that this certain law is not good for the is not favoring the nation, people of the country, then the High Court or the Supreme Court has the right to declare that law as unconstitutional. And this process of where the courts can put a check on the laws that are passed, that is known as judicial review. For a law to be valid, it must conform to the constitutional requirements. So how can a law be valid? How can that be considered a legal law? Only when it conforms or it meets all the requirements of the constitution. Only when all the requirements of the constitutions are met, that it will be only then a law can be formed. It is the responsibility of the judiciary to come to a decision whether the law is constitutional or not, and it is always the responsibility of the judiciary who will decide whether a law is constitutional or not, whether a law can be acceptable or it is not acceptable. So with this, we have come to this end of today's class. I hope we have learned many new things today. You got to learn what is constitution. You also got to learn why do we need to have a constitution. At the same time, you also learned about the dowry system, right? Even after passing of the dowry system, we see it is still prevalent in many parts of the country. Then we got to know about the rule of law, which says that the law is supreme to all. Then we got to know about legitimacy of the constitution. We got to know about judicial review. Then whenever a law is passed, the Supreme Court and the High Court has the right to put a check on it. If they feel that it is not constitutional, then the Supreme Court or the High Court can declare it as unconstitutional, and this process is known as judicial review. So with this class, we come to the end of today's class. We shall meet in the next class. Take care, everyone. Thank you.